Good on, people. Welcome back to another JSTV tonight. It's the live preview show. It's an early one because obviously it's an early one for us. And I've got the Champions League review tomorrow night, which normally a special show is tonight. So I've got Tom with me. Tom.
How's it going, guys? You all right?
Great, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Just a long day at work today. So thank you so much for coming on, mate. And
no worries, brother. No worries.
And guys, got some comments flying as well. If you do like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe. Super chat's open as well. If you'd like to become a member, it is just 99p as well, and you'll be entering the competition to win the £50 voucher. You can spend at Newcastle United Club Shop. So I've got one for Len. Hi to Len. Two excellent teams that can beat another team set up to defend. Will be interesting, but I fancy Brighton this time. That's the Len. Big up to Len. I hope you're good. How are we at that tune? Hi to Jane. And even though please like your socials as well. Thank you very much. Like I say, super chats are available bottom right. You can join for just 99p and win yourself £50 voucher for Newcastle. And hi to Jules. Thank you very much for wishing me a happy birthday. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, is it your birthday, John?
It's day 54 today.
54? You don't look a day over 21.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. And also, hi to Jules in the chat and Les and others as well. Right, like I said, it's going to be an early match preview for Saturday's game between Brighton and Newcastle United at the Amex Stadium. I'll be there as well, doing my match day vlogs as well. And Tom, I mean, look, Roberto De Zerbi, you've got to talk about him. He's taken over from Graham Potter. Obviously, he moved to Chelsea at the time he'd been sacked. Comes to you on a 4.5-year contract. This guy has been absolutely ripping it up for our club, and this guy's brilliant.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, John. I think the last time we chatted, it was when Graham Potter was still in charge. And the last year has been like a dream, because when Graham left, you know, as Brighton fans, you know, we were thinking, who are we going to possibly get in that's going to be anywhere near as good as Graham Potter was for us? And then Roberto De Zerbi comes in, and he turns a team that was pretty goal shy into a high-scoring team, really end-to-end football. I mean, it's not without its caveats. You know, we tend to concede a lot more than we did under Graham Potter. But the football is just great to watch, and he's got a really particular style that's fun to watch. It's a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting than football under Graham Potter. And look, he got us finishing top 6 in the Premier League, you know, playing Europa League football soon. So things I'd never thought I'd ever see as a Brighton fan. So you know what? You know, long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, look, they probably say Graham, who now they got Roberto, and I think he done really well to keep him last season as well, because he's been linked with AC Milan, Italian clubs as well, even Tottenham as well.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing. I think with Roberto De Zerbi, I'd be more worried about him going back to Italy than like a British team coming in and taking him. I mean, don't get me wrong, it could well happen, but I'd be more worried about one of the big Italian teams. And I think when Italy parted ways with the Italian head coach of the national team, all the Brighton fans took that big inhale, deep breath, going, "Oh God, are they going to come for Roberto De Zerbi?" But thankfully, they did not.
Yeah, absolutely right. Quite lucky as well. And let's be real. And you know what it is, right? I mean, you know, you need to keep him for a long time. Got a young, vibrant team as well. And we're going to go through the players in a little bit. And I got hi to Truls Sway from Norway. Hi to Jan. Hope you're good. We'd love to get Per Schurz, Dutch on the back from Torino, 23 years of age, 6'3", and could be only 30 mil. He did play well with Sven at Ajax as well. He did as well. Yeah, I like him. Per Schurz, I think he's a really decent player. He really is as well. And good to see Doncaster beating Everton by 4-0. I've heard that is fantastic, isn't it? It just gets better, doesn't it? It really, really does. And yeah, so look, you look at the Brighton's transfer dealings this season and summer. You know what? I think you spent really well again. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Moise Caicedo was outgoing as well. And the thing is, they need to get that sorted out with him, because at the end of the day, I mean, look, if he ain't going to be happy, then you need to get him out of the club.
Yeah.
And also Alexa McAllister as well, went to Liverpool as well. Two huge names for Brighton.
Yeah.
What a huge miss as well.
Yeah, I mean, last season, McAllister and Caicedo were like our double pivot. And I think we've definitely noticed in the opening 3 games, the whole Moises Caicedo has left because he's just such a good central defensive midfielder. And I know that in his first game for Chelsea, things didn't go particularly well for him, but Brighton fans know what he's about. He's a phenomenal talent. It was no surprise to any Brighton fan that he went for the fee that he went for. A lot of raised eyebrows from other fans, perhaps, because it was an extortionate fee, 100 million up front and then 15 millions with add-ons. It's an insane amount. It's more than Declan Rice went for. But that's just how highly, Tony Bloom and Paul Barber value the player. And I have no doubt that he will become one of the best central defensive midfielders in the world. We've had a bit of not upheaval, but there's been, as you say, McAllister and Caicedo have gone. That's the spine of our team. We've brought in James Milner, who's obviously very well experienced. João Pedro, a really exciting number 10 from Watford, who I think you guys were linked with at some point last year. He looks really exciting. We haven't actually seen much of him yet, but hopefully we'll get to see a bit more of him. Brighton do what Brighton do. They go out and they buy young players. They've just bought in a young lad from Lille, Baliba, who is a central defensive midfielder. I doubt he'll play at the weekend, but I think the team that you'll see at the weekend will be very much the team players that you saw last season. It's just about whether those new signings will come off the bench and, shore things up. Because I think when we last played you, we started with a midfield 2 of Gilmour and Gross, who's been the midfield pairing this season so far. And it'll be interesting to see what lessons that Gross and Gilmour have learned after Newcastle tore us a new one at St James's Park.
Absolutely. Totally agree. You spent just under 100 million this season as well. I mean, you also got Sabaliba, you got for Bugan as well, and the goalkeeper Igor for Fiorentina as well. I think Igor looks a solid defender as well.
The man is blooming built like a tank. He's a left-footed centre back, which was an area of the pitch. Hi, Tom. I'm in Worthing. Yes, yeah. What are you doing with Newcastle? That's like as far as you can go.
Is he going to the match?
Must be. But no, we had Levi Colwill on loan from Chelsea last season, and I think Roberto De Zerbi was really, really keen to have a left-footed centre back to help build up the play because it's all about how he wants to play. So we brought in Igor, natural left-footer, as I say, built like a tank. We've not actually seen him play in the Premier League yet, so I'm hoping that after our recent display at West Ham, we might see Igor make the starting 11 soon. Yeah, we've seen Bart Verbruggen. He started his game against West Ham, really unlucky there to concede 3. Not much he can really do, but yeah, really promising young keeper. Brought in Mo Dahoud as well on a free from Dortmund. So, the transfer window has been okay for us so far. I think a lot of Brighton fans still want more. I think there are areas of the pitch, especially with playing European football this season, that we'd like to strengthen in. Another attacker. We've just had Julio Enciso ruled out with injury, probably until the new year. So that's going to be a big loss because, he was an exciting young player, scored the goal of the season against Man City last year, and he'll be a big miss for us. So I think the club and the fans would like to see some more incomings. It's just about whether deals can be done. Brighton are notoriously tight with the purse strings. If they don't feel a player is worth X amount, they won't pay. Somewhat ironic when you sell a footballer for 115 million, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, how does Brighton get all this young talent, right? And you've got a good setup there. I mean, you got a great scouting network at the club as well. I mean, you did have Dan Ashworth once upon a time.
Yeah.
I mean, before we go on to that question, Dan Ashworth, I mean, you like to tell Newcastle fans what sort of job he did while he was at Brighton?
I think a lot of people. Well, my impression is that a lot of people thought that Dan Ashworth was like the linchpin of like scouting. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think at Brighton, he was more about pathways, bringing bringing the players from like the development squads into the first team. I think that was his main role, and I think with Brighton's transfer sort of system of wanting to give young players a chance, that was a big thing that he was about, and I think he definitely helped bring young players through. I mean, Tarek Lamptey, when he burst onto the scene in 2020, which feels like forever ago, Dan Ashworth was pivotal, getting him from youth level up into our first team. And I think it was around this time when we had more minutes given to academy products than any other club in the Premier League. So, Dan Ashworth was really, making his money for us in that regard. But no, Dan Ashworth didn't really do much of the scouting for us. That comes down to owner Tony Bloom. He has this company called Star Lizard, and they're all about stats, and they pretty much scout every player, every league, even like the Bulgarian 5th division. They'll probably know like the names, and it's this algorithm that they come up with, and it identifies prospects, it identifies what they think the cost will be. It's really sort of like high tech, which is why we got people like Alexis McAllister, who we bought in for a nominal fee. We sold him for about 45 million once add-ons are done. Caicedo, who we've spoken about, came in for 4 million, going for 115 million once you've done the add-ons. Cucurella, we bought in for 16 million. He left for 63 million. Trossard, he bought in for, I could just go on and on and on. There's all these players, even players that like never made our first team. There's a young Norwegian defender, Leo Ørstegård. We brought him in for something like 500,000 and he left for 10 million. It's just, and it just keeps going. It keeps going. It's just the transfer model that, that we have to sort of use, because Brighton, unfortunately, we can't compete with big wages and, big expenditure. So our model is very much a case of buy low, sell high, keep the club sustainable. And it's working at the moment. A lot of people were very much sort of like, oh, you're just going to be at Southampton. It'll kind of bite you in the backside sooner rather than later. But no, I do agree with that. That Caicedo thing was just Chelsea throwing money around. But that's basically what Chelsea's transfer strategy seems. I've seen they just bought Cole Palmer, the young Man City lad. Apparently they're in for him for 50 million quid. I'm just thinking, how do they have all this money? How? But yeah,
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. We can't compete with that, John. We our most expensive player is 30 million quid, which I know in the grand scheme of things is an awful lot of money. But we have a very low wage budget. I think it's one of the lowest in the league. But at the moment, as I say, it's working. So we're just going to keep it going.
Absolutely. The 3 key players for Brighton, right, it's going to be dangerous in Newcastle United. The 3 players we got to watch out for me. The first one is going to be Solly March. This guy, was he 29? Yeah. This guy is absolutely coming on at the later stage of his career. This guy is a really good player. I really do like him.
He really is, John, and he's one of, I think, the big success stories under Roberto De Zerbi. Because in the previous, I think 4 seasons before De Zerbi came along, March hadn't got an assist, hadn't got a goal, for a long time. And then De Zerbi comes in and he gets him racking up. He's set a target this season for 15 goals. He's scored 3 already. March is a really dangerous player, right winger, comes in, cuts in on his left foot, very strong. But yeah, he's one of these players that he came from non-league. He came from a local team down in Sussex called Lewis. We brought him in, and then he's been with us ever since he was probably 17, 18. And he's a real success story for the club, local lad. And he's having a really good start to the season, and long may it continue. Potential England call up, who knows? A lot of competition in those wide areas, but we as Brighton fans, we hope that is the case, because that'll be fantastic for the lad.
100%. I mean, this guy plays on the left, plays on the right, and he's got a rock up a shot as well. He scored some cracking goals. I mean, we got to watch out for him as well. I mean, Dan Burn, left back. For me, I'd like to see Lewis Hall come back in on Saturday. Excuse me, if I'm honest with you, because I like Dan Burn personally, but excuse me, he just cannot deal with pacey wingers nowadays. I think
we know all about that at Brighton. There was actually I was at the Newcastle Brighton game at the Amex last year, and there was a little bust up between Burn and March. All fun and games. Like Burn and March were like pushing each other over. Like Dan Burn's up there, Solly March is down there. It was very fun.
Absolutely. And we'll ask that question in a minute, Alan. Another thing is, I mean, we talked about Solly Marsh. The another one I want to talk about is as well, I really rate, and I've, for my opinion, he's in my team in the season, is one Caro Bitoma. That guy, for me, is a wing wizard. He scored some cracking goals. That first goal against Wolves just tells you what he's all about. He's just scored some cracking goals, him.
He's an absolutely phenomenal player. He's fantastic at dribbling. He's got fantastic agility. I wouldn't even say he's like necessarily like, he's not like a rocket quick, but he's just so agile. He'll turn you one way, this way, that way, and then he'll just breeze past you. And he's a really dangerous player. And I think he had a really great start to the season last year. Then he sort of went off the boil a little bit towards the end of the season, through fatigue. But no, he's had a really good start to this season, and again, similar to Solly, our wingers are probably our most our biggest threat going forward, because they're quite quick. They like an eye for a goal, and for Brighton, it's all about getting the ball out to the wings, using those wide men really well. And Carew, he can, as I say, he can duck one way, weave the other way. Very dangerous, can score. Perfect winger for us, really.
100%. I mean, I rate this guy. He's a baller, him, and one of my ballers as well. And he's rated between 80 and 100 million quid. I like him. And you know what? Will he be there next season? That's another thing. I'm sure bigger clubs will after him. Sure, they'll probably look at one more year, maybe it's 2 more years to see what it's all about. And then hopefully make a profit on this guy as well.
Yeah.
And you know what it is, right? I mean, if he's available, then if he was on the right side, I'd take him all day long, 100%. No disrespect to Miggy Almiron. I love Miggy, but there's been a lot of people asking him about, do you think he should be replaced for Newcastle? We'll come on to that one later on. And the other player I like as well, and it's big Ivan Ferguson. Plays. This guy, I mean, Tony Bloom said that he's going to be playing for Brighton for the next 5 years. They're not going to sell him for the next 5 years. This guy, honestly, he loves Brighton. And you know what? He's just so exciting to watch. He's big, powerful, and he can hold the ball up as well. Good in the air. He does a lot.
He's a fantastic striker, and he's only 18 years of age. He's one of those players that just always seems to know exactly where to be. Right place, right time. Big, strong. Got a pretty good bit of pace on him. From a standstill, he can beat a defender off for pace. So he's a very good all rounder. Still got a lot to learn. Being only 18, still got he's got to still learn from the likes of Danny Welbeck, who have started ahead of him this season so far. But he's a really exciting prospect. There were apparent links to Tottenham Hotspur being the replacement for Harry Kane, which is why they turned around and said no, he's not going anywhere for 5 years. But no, big, prolific, potentially prolific goal scorer. One of those players that you don't want to leave unmarked in the box.
Definitely not. Our defence got to be really tight. And I mean, Sven Botman won't be playing on Saturday. I don't think he will. And that'd be a massive, massive miss, because that guy has been absolutely outstanding again this season. He really has. So that's the 3 players to watch. Tell us your thought, guys. Who's your 3 Brighton to be watch out for? Who's the danger for Newcastle, for Brighton, which Newcastle is going and needs to be marked out, need to watch? Let us know, please. Tom, who are you worried about in the Newcastle United team?
Well, it's a difficult one, John and Alan, because I think so much of it depends on how the game goes. I mean, when we played against West Ham, we had all the possession, we outpassed them, we had more shots, but they killed us on the counter. And I think it's going to be your pace. So it's going to be your pacey players that are going to kill us. Gordon, if he's turning on the afterburners, he's going to cause us problems. Joe Linton, he can cause us problems because he's quite quick. If you hit us on the counter, that's going to be your best opportunity to score, I feel, because that's where we are most vulnerable. So basically, anyone in your team who's got the slightest bit of pace is going to kill us. I mean, Isaacson in fantastic form. Wilson always seems to score against us. So probably him. But no, it's about your pace. And I suppose it all depends on how Eddie Howe sets up. Is he going to come and want to play football, or is he going to come and be like, right, we'll sit back, hit on the counter?
Yeah.
Just like West Ham did. They killed us. They killed us last weekend, man. They really did. They were just so well drilled. And every time they just got the ball from an attack, from our attack, they'd run up the pitch and they'd have a chance on goal. So you do that, you're going to cause us all sorts of problems.
Yeah. Oh, that's the case. I really do hope it's the case. Do you know what I mean? Because you need to get a win for obvious reasons before the break. And I don't want to have an L against me name, but there you go. Big up to Gareth. Thank you, Gareth. Big up to Del Boy Gunnar. Big up to Del. Hope you're great, mate. Out your channel flourishes as well. Martin Verbruggen is a good addition. Give him a year, be at the top. I like him as a keeper. I think he'll come great. And F-side, I don't know. That's Donny, either Donny or Danny, if you want to call it, mate. Hope you're great. He plays in goal, Leslie. For me, Dan Burn, let's take a look at this one as well. For me, Dan Burn will most likely play centre back on Saturday due to Botman's injury. So if that's the case, then I can see him being the centre of the defence. And I think, and then that means you're gonna have to bring Target in. But for me, I'll bring Lewis Hall in for that game as well, because I think Lewis Hall needs the games. I think it'd be fantastic. And it's going to happy, but thank you, Stephen. I appreciate your kind words.
Love you on your birthday, John. That's what we love to see.
Absolutely. Keep those happy messages, birthday messages going. Simple as that. And Alan's chatting to Les. Eddie would push and push.
Yeah.
Oh,
John, how do you think, John, that you boys are going to set up at the weekend? Do you think that you're going to come to attack us? Because I remember before the game at St James's Park, I was talking to some Newcastle fans, and they were saying about like, "Oh, we're going to press you," and I was like, "Oh, fine, great, we love the press. It's our bread and butter." And obviously, you rinsed us, but we won't talk about that. How do you think they're going to set up at the weekend, John? Do you think that they're going to sit back like West Ham did and hit us on the counter, or do you think that Eddie Howe's going to want to come and he's going to want to have a go?
Yeah, he's going to come to Brighton and he's going to have a go. He wants to come out and win games. You do not see an Eddie Howe team sit back. They won't do that at all whatsoever. We get the ball and play. We keep the ball where we can, and we're just going to hit them as well wherever we can. We're not a defensive team. Never have been under Eddie Howe. It all depends on the tactics. He'll definitely play 4-3-3. He needs to give it a go. And we need to be winning games. But the thing is, though, if we pick you off, because you do love to play from the back as well, and sometimes it comes off, sometimes it don't. At times, you catch you. If we just keep pressing you guys, I think, honestly, we can get some joy. And we've got to be quick as well. But it depends on players up front. I mean, Isak is probably players start. Anthony Gordon's going to play. Miguel Almiron's going to definitely play as well. So that's a front three sorted.
Miggy, absolutely. Again, going back to that game at St James's Park, that first 10 minutes, that was awful. As a Brighton fan watching that was awful for us because you just did not stop pressing. And Miggy, he made us look. I mean, I want to put a bit of context. We were very fatigued side, but give nothing away. You guys were fantastic. They pressed us and pressed us and pressed us, and we made mistakes. And you battered us for 50 minutes.
Andy, mate. Thank you.
So I think I think I think it's going to be a good game. I really hope it does. It's going to be two teams that want to come, want to play. Both of us on the back of a disappointing defeat last time out. I mean, you boys, the Liverpool game. How did that feel, John? Feel like you off the back of that one, mate?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Brighton game, the last game at St James's. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like, how did you like? Well, yeah.
I think we enjoyed it. I think we played so well that night. I really, truly think that as well. Apart from the penalty, I think he had a penalty in that game as well, if I remember this correctly. Was it a penalty? He had a penalty in that game?
I can't remember. I know we did score. I think for like...
He definitely scored. No, he didn't. It wasn't a penalty. He scored a good goal as well, by the way. But I think we were really good that day. I think Caicedo played the wrong position, but he played the right back.
He was playing it right back. I mean,
I don't get that at all.
I'll tell you what, John, we still haven't got a right back. So you just attack us down our right. You'll have 37-year-old James Milner sort of jogging back. And you'll be in for fun.
And just don't let them take penalties or whatever you do. Do you know what I mean? Because you still bang them in. But so how do you think your team's going to be set up on Saturday? I mean, I know it's going to be 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think I honestly I don't. I mean, my gut tells me that we'll probably set up exactly how we set up against West Ham. Bart Verbruggen in goal, back four, Estupiñán, who's a phenomenal left back, really fantastic. Lewis Dunk will be a centre back, and it's just about who he plays alongside because Adam Webster had an absolute mare against West Ham. He was awful, but in Adam Webster's defence, he was left horrendously exposed on that right-hand side because James Milner just doesn't have the pace to get back because James Milner's come in and he's basically been our starting right back. So I imagine it'll be a similar back four. As I say, Purvis, Dunk, Webster, Milner, Gilmore and Gross in the middle. Matoma and March out wide, then probably Welbeck and Ferguson, almost like a 4-4-2 with Welbeck dropping a little bit deeper, perhaps. That's probably what it will be. It's not necessarily what I would want it to be, but I imagine that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way for you guys. Play 4-2-3-1, then we play 4-3-3. If you played a 4-3-3 against our 4-3-3, then it looks like Newcastle will probably destroy anyone in that league playing that formation at all. People said Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle's up there as well. But for me, just go for the comments. Gordon be your nightmare. Thank you for that. With Gordon on the left, we're likely to be hitting bars at Brighton's right. Kobe Lamptey, if he does play. Donk has 14 shots to Donk. That's there. Everton 4, and Donk says they win by 1-0. Wow. That's a crisis talk at Everton, but we're not worried about them for now. But for me, I say Pope's going to play in goal. The right back will be Trippier. Left back, I want it to be Lewis Hall at left back. You've got to play him. Play the left back. And then defence has got to be Dan Burner, Stenbottom come in. And alongside them, Sami and Cher. Midfield 3 is going to have to be Joe Linton, Bruno, and Tonali. And then the 3 up front is going to have to be Gordon, Isak, and Almiron. Those are the 3. But will Eddie make any changes? I don't know. It'd be very, very interesting. If he does, then Eddie will be bold. It's as simple as that. And we've got to go for 3 points as well. Newcastle go with you or might. Okay. And we go for 3 points all out. We have to go out all out 3 points. We have to play the way we play. We're not very good at sitting back. And we have got to defend properly because 2 goals conceded against Liverpool. Okay, Botman didn't know anything about it with Nunes. And you know what? If they go clean through, they've got a great chance of scoring against us. That is the thing.
I think Nick Pope, when you boys played at the Amex last year, Nick Pope was in a blinder. Nick Pope always seems to have a blinder against Brighton. When you come up against those players that always just seem to play really well, Nick Pope is like our arch enemy of goalkeepers. So I think Pope could be a thorn in our side like he was last season. But as I say, it's the pace that Newcastle have that really worries me. If I'm being honest, I think that Brighton have enough. I think that's to say, Brighton will pour forward. They will just go forward, and we will attack and attack and attack. And I think it could be quite a high-scoring game. If I'm honest, I think that if the attacks are on top, we could be seeing something like 3 goals a piece. Because Brighton defensively, we're not the strongest at the minute, but going forward we are better. So it's going to be a really interesting tactical battle between De Zerbi and Howe. Again, Howe always seems to play well against Brighton teams, so he knows what he's doing. So it'll be, as I say, really interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, absolutely right. Time will tell on that one at a moment in time. The Brighton team news is this is not unofficial, but they're still waiting on the return of Jack Mulder. But a fresh injury to Hulo and Ciso really stings as the teenage Paraguayan looks so bright early this season. He's going to be out until the new year, like you said. Also, the Seagulls have 3 players with 3 goal contributions through 3 games. Purvis and Carew, and also Solly Marsh as well. And the last name, oddly, is yet to register an assist after piling up 7 to go with 7 goals last season. So that's an early team news at this moment in time. Did Jack and Moura came for Sassuolo?
Yeah, Jakub Moder. Yeah, he came. No, he came from a Polish club. Poor lad,
Of course,
been injured for quite a
I
while.
told Mulder. Yeah,
Yeah, he's been injured for quite a while. He did, I think it was his ACL,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
he had an operation, and then I think it's one of those players that we're probably unlikely to see play for Brighton again, which is a real shame for the lad. You know, he played well for us. You know, he came in, did a job in central of midfield. Also, this was under Graham Potter as well, so he was playing left wing back at times.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I do feel for the lad. But I'll be very doubtful if we uh, see him again, if I'm honest. Although yeah, he is technically an injured player for us, it's almost one of those that you don't think about, because it's one of those that you just knew that he was never going to play anyway. As I said, the big loss for us is Julio Enciso, who I wish a speedy recovery to, but because he started the season very well. When we played against Wolves, he was the best player on the pitch. He got 2 assists, both for Solly March goals, and the first one he put in this cross with the outside of his foot. It was absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful.
Lovely cross, and fantastic player, very, very intelligent. Big loss for Brighton. But, I suppose the silver lining might be that we get to see more of João Pedro, our record signing, bought from Watford in the summer, who had a good game against Luton. I know some people might say it's just Luton, but he's looked exciting in pre-season, so I want him to get more game time, and I think this might be a game that he could play well in.
Yeah, I truly believe João Pedro. I mean, that header he scored for, he played for Watford, which got them ones he drew against us 18 months ago. But let's hope he doesn't score any on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? I've got to have to say that. But hey, and look at Brighton stats in a minute. I mean, their 9 goals scored this season. Top of the assist league with 7 assists. Second shots on goals, 52 shots. And yeah, Brighton stats in a minute. So far, so good.
Yeah, all the attacking stats anyway. Yeah, the attacking. We love to attack. We will see a game with lots of shots on target or shots in general. But we've got the 3rd worst expected goals against. Even against Luton, the amount of touches that Luton had in our penalty area was really quite worrying. So I think, again, that comes back to not losing Colwill at the back, losing Moises Caicedo and Alexis McAllister in the midfield. I can't emphasize enough just how important Moises Caicedo was to our Brighton team, because when you go forward and you attack, you need players that are going to bust a gut to get back and defend. And that's what Moises Caicedo would do. He'd get into that penalty area and he'd put in a tackle, and you'd be like, how on earth has he not given away a penalty there? How has he won that ball? But he was so strong, so clever, had fantastic vision, really good interceptor of the ball. So we are feeling his loss a lot. And I think that's probably why teams this season so far have really sort of opened us up at times. Luton did it, Wolves did it, and with a lot of joy, West Ham did it. So big loss in the middle of our pitch. So yeah, the attacking stats fantastic. We're scoring quite a lot. Got a lot of different goal scorers, which is great. We just need to tighten up defensively.
100%. And same with us as well. I mean, the midfield's been, Tonali looks a great player. He really does. But at the minute, I mean, it's the pace of the game. I mean, like, he's been subbed twice now in the last 2 games because of the pace of the game. For me, Bruno, I mean, he is getting a lot of step on Newcastle fans. Just for me, I think it's unfair. And Bruno come back. Bruno definitely come back. I mean, look, at the end of the day, right? I mean, he's still a fantastic player, but it's time to come back. And I hope he does, because he can't drop him. He just can't drop him. You can't rest him. He just can't.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player.
He is.
If he's fit, you got to play him.
100%. No ifs, no buts. I mean, we'd rather play Bruno, Sean Longstaff. For me, it'd be Bruno all day long. I mean, our midfield 3 will click. It will definitely click in the time. And it's almost your best chance.
Yeah, but I mean, that's, you could possibly be right. I think, Matoma or March, probably the ones that you got to, as John said earlier, got to watch out for. Both very dangerous, both can score, both can get assists. With Matoma, if he's feeling up to it, he'll just run at you and he'll just make a decision, because that's what he does. As I said earlier, he will just duck, dart, weave, and before you know it, he could be halfway down the pitch. I remember again last season when he came on for his first ever appearance. It was against Kevin Trippier at right back.
I can remember that.
When he came on the last 5-10 minutes for Brighton when it was 0-0 at the Amex. He just gave Trippier a torrid time. So if he's in that sort of mood, he will, he could cause you problems. What we've seen recently in some games is players doubling up on Matoma. So it'll be interesting to see if you guys follow that tactic to put two people on him to sort of minimize the chaos he can cause. But then on the other side of the pitch, you've got Solly March who can do exactly the same. So yeah, I think it's going to be such a fascinating tactical battle, because both teams have got very dangerous players. And it's going to be, I just think it's going to be a really interesting watch.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be some battle for me. That's going to be the key with Tom against Trippier. That's going to be a battle. And I'll tell you, whoever comes on top could win the game for the team. Big up to Niall Gallagher, by the way. Hi to Niall. Hope you're okay. And Kevin Trippier, yes.
Kevin Trippier, I know.
What did he say?
I said Kevin Trippier. When I was like,
Kevin Trippier.
Trippier, a bad time. I'm sorry, Newcastle.
No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. So, guys, you like the video, like what you watch, make sure you give it a like, subscribe. Also, my channel partnership is by Toffs, as made in Great Britain as well. And they've been in this partnership for quite a few weeks now, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Please check out our new partners as well. Toffs get your retro shirts with Toffs.com, 15% off your order. And if you use the code JSTV15, and it gives you a discount code and you get 15% off your order. So please, guys, do go into Toffs.com. And also, if you go into Magpie Stores as well. And if I get up now, there you go. Go on to magpiestores.co.uk and you can get all the hoodies, you can get all the t-shirts, get any accessories as well. 10% off your order if you quote JSTV10. You got Sancho Tonali on the front of your hoodies, your shirts, Newcastle United, Joe Linton, Bruno, Isaac, Eddie. It's all there for you guys. Go on to magpiestore.co.uk and then you can just surf through the website as well. They've got some quality ones as well. Big up to the guys who works in there as well. Let's go on to Alan. Tom, will your team compete with Newcastle in midfield?
Very good question, Alan. I think at the moment, the two midfielders we've got in there, neither of which are they're not ball winners. You've got Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmour, very silky passers. Billy Gilmour can put a tackle in. But no big tacklers. I thought many teams might consider, them as luxury players. So I think they could possibly struggle. As I say, they're very good going forward. Pascal Gross is ridiculous going forward. He's got like the second best chance creation after Kevin De Bruyne since 2017. So Gross is a dangerous player. And I don't mean to write him off, but he's not an 8. He's not a box-to-box player. He's a 10 who's being played a little bit out of position because of just how important he is to the team. So I think the midfield is going to be where it's won or lost at the weekend because, as I said earlier, it's the biggest hole in our current team is our midfield because we just don't have that central defensive midfielder that could track back, put a tackle in, intercept, get us from defense, that transition that's so important to the Zerbi ball, that transition from the back to the front. We don't have that at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle. My heart says yes, my head, we'll see.
We'll see indeed. Just so you mentioned Tonali, John, best number 8 in the league in the next 18 months. The lad that's on roll. Yes, the thing is, right, I love Tonali. I watch his progress at AC Milan. Fantastic player there now. At the end of the day, it's his first season in the Premier League, and he'll do well, and he'll get used to the speed of the pace of the Premier League. Rangers, thank you, Foxy. That's made my night. I'm so over the moon. As a Celtic fan, I'm over the moon as well. And I tell you, Michael Beale will be sacked. Do they get in the Europa League? I think they do now. And already got to qualify there as well. And at the minute, Brighton's up to scratch. That's in Yan. And so, Tom, in that case, I can only see a 2 win.
Yeah, well, I generally think it's where the battle is going to be won. The game, sorry, is going to be won or lost. Very silky, as I say, going with the ball forward. Love putting those passes together, pinging them out to the wings and whatnot. But what we saw against West Ham is we didn't take our chances. That game against West Ham could have ended something like 5-3, 5-5, because West Ham, given full credit, they scored 3 times, they hit the bar twice. Brighton, had a lot of shots on target, but their goalkeeper was on one that day, so he's had a fantastic game. So I wouldn't say Brighton. I wouldn't write Brighton off, because I think going forward they are a big threat. But as I say, it's defensively that is our weakest point at the moment. There's a reason we've got the 3rd worst goals against expected goals against stat in the league. So it's just going to be really, really interesting to see how the game goes, as I've said multiple times. But we could see Mo Dahoud come in, who's got a bit more pace than Pascal Gross. But again, I think Gross is almost undroppable. So it would just be so interesting. A lot will depend on who Brighton go with in the middle. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep, just wait and see. Absolutely right. Foxy, yep, Europa, Rangers, Ramos and AK, 5-1. Oh, this just gets better and better, doesn't it? Go on, PSV. Justin Dallin Asda, he said, Trippier recommended the Frozen Talking Dinosaurs.
Not a bad shout.
Not a bad shout.
Was that Kevin Trippier or Kieran Trippier?
Kieran. Oh, love it, man. Absolutely love it. And picked the wrong match. Brighton needs to start to João Pedro. Much more of effect with him on the pitch. And Foxy is a South American football expert on my channel as well. He goes over People Podcast as well, which I think is a great guy as well. And Rangers losing 6-3 on aggregate. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So we come to the end of the show, because obviously the Cup draw is going to come up very, very soon for the Carabao Cup as well. And if you give us a score prediction for Saturday, please, and for Brighton Newcastle United.
Ooh, that's a tough one, isn't it? As I said, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I've got to go with a Brighton win, because I'm a Brighton fan. I'm representing, and we're at home, so I've got to represent. So I'm going to go for a mad one. I'm going to go 4-3.
I tell you what,
I just think it's going to be high scoring. You guys demolished Villa, the opening day of the season. We can score goals. You can score goals. Yeah. Let's go 4-3. Why not?
4-3. I'm going to go, I did say 2-2 earlier on, but I'm going to go Newcastle. It's going to be goals in this game. I'm going to go the opposite round. I'm going to go 4-3 to Newcastle. I think it'll be goals in this game. I really do think that. Because if Botman comes back, I doubt he will, then we win a little bit less than that. But without him, wow.
Yeah, we've said all this, John, and it'll be a 0-0 draw.
Exactly. And just Matt, see you there, Tom. And thanks for the birthday boy. Thank you, Les. Good to have you back. And it's great to have Tom back as always. He's a big Brighton fan. He's welcome at any time. Foxy, I love it. Great show, both. Thank you very much, Gareth. Yeah, I'm going to say 4-3 to Newcastle. I think there'll be goals in this game. I really do think that, because I think it's going to be an open game. Brighton's going to be open. Newcastle's going to be open. However, it's going to be fun, and it's going to be games as well. And the press conference is going to be on Friday. I'll be traveling to Brighton as well. I've got myself a ticket, Tom, right? And I'm sitting right at the front behind the goal. Right at the front.
Nice. So you'll be there for the first half action if Brighton managed to score, and in the second half, it'll be good times for you, mate. I hope you enjoy it. I really do.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it, man. Because it's just the parking. I'm just trying to book a parking space as well, and the things you talk about 70, 80 quid for the weekend. Do you know what I mean? What I'm trying to do.
It's awful.
I know it's awful parking, isn't it? Awful parking, but it is what it is. 0-0. Hit the likes. Thank you, Les. Thanks for joining us, Tom. Good luck for the season. Just not at the weekend. Jules always says that, but she's lovely anyway. I met Jules lots of time.
No, Tom? You can't have Pascal Gross Allen. I joke about him being painfully slow and can't tackle, but He's a ridiculously good player. You can't have him. You can't. I'm sorry.
No, of course, he's a good player. Good player when he's at it. Antwerp Champions League. Wow. So I don't mind taking on PSV as well. No problems at all whatsoever. And big up to Now. Thank you, Now. I wish I was 40, my guy. I'm 54. I'm not going to shy away, am I? There you go. So, guys, that's it for the early match preview. It's an early one because I'm doing a Champions League review tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with Paul and hopefully Ian Sutcliffe as well. Friday, I'll be traveling to Brighton. Saturday, I'll be doing a match day vlog as well. If I get to Brighton early enough, probably 8:30, I would do a little vlog then as well. So, Tom, where can we find you? Give us a shout out where you can find you on the social. What you got coming up, mate?
Yes, so you can follow my podcast, Albion Obsessed. We're on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us with Albion Obsessed. If you're into shirts, I'm also a shirt collector, so you can find me on Instagram at Exiled Seagull. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And the link's in the description as well. Exiled Seagull, you can find them there as well. You can also find me on Johnson Clare TV on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also on YouTube as well. So everything's out there as well. Do check out the Newcastle Liverpool Stadium cam as well. Check that one out as well. It's got over 8,000 views as well. And that's in a day, by the way. So do check out that as well. And thank you all the chat. So thank you for all the mods as well. And I'll be back to 9 o'clock. And if you like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment in the section down below and tell me your predicted 11 as well, how the game is going to go, and just let me know. And until then, guys, as always, it's HOWAY.